We at war.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Bushart Report. I'm Nick Bushart, and this is a brand new show here on Overtime Heroics YouTube. We'll be meeting every week to discuss sports. Generally, this week we're going to do a special episode for NBA free agency. We're going to go through each 30 teams and what their team looks like now, what they can do to improve, and maybe some of the free agents they can re-sign or sign. So we're going to go through pretty quick, but we're going to start in alphabetical order. So we're going to start with the Hawks. Now the Hawks have been doing a lot of work this offseason. They've made quite a few trades, signed quite a few players. They traded up in the draft from 17 and 8 to get to 4 to draft DeAndre Hunter out of Virginia Tech. They also drafted Cam Reddish and Bruno Fernando. Here's what their team looks like right now, though. They have a really good young core centered around Trae Young, who had a breakout season, second half of the season. He was in contention for Rookie of the Year, and they're looking to build around that young core of him and John Collins and guys like that. So some of their free agents they have Justin Anderson as a free agent, Vince Carter, and Dwayne Dedmon. Dedmon definitely is their biggest free agent that they're looking to re-sign. However, if they don't get Dedmon, look for them to go after Kevon Looney. Looney had a great season last year, finished out in the NBA Finals, hurt, playing well. Look for Looney there with the Hawks. Now on to the Celtics. The Celtics are a team that are in turmoil right now. You know, Danny Ainge, he's making moves that are being questioned. Kyrie Irving, Al Horford might be out the door. Them being the biggest two free agents. We also got Marcus Morris. You got Terry Rozier on a restricted free agent contract. A lot of interest there from other teams. So they have made some additions, though. I mean, they got Romeo Langford in the draft. They got Grant Williams, Carson Edwards, and Tremont Waters. So they picked up a lot of guards, trying to build in case these big guys leave. However, Kemba Walker is the one that's, the big rumor to go Boston. But guy I think you should look out for is Nikola Vucevic from Orlando. If Al Horford leaves, they traded Aaron Baines to Phoenix during the draft. They're going to need a big guy, and Nikola Vucevic can do that. He's probably the biggest name we're going to talk about today. I'm trying to avoid the big free agents, so Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard. We talked about that on Thursday with Grant at Overtime Heroics. Go check that out on YouTube. But today I'm going to try to talk about some players that may not be the big names, some under-the-radar players. So moving forward, Brooklyn is the next on the list. Brooklyn's a very interesting team. They have the most cap space and $67 million to use. So you would expect two big star free agents, Kyrie, KD, and some of the free agents they have currently are Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. They didn't give him a qualifying offer, so he's unrestricted free agent. D'Angelo Russell, they did give us a qualifying offer to. So he's their big name point guard, the guy that's kind of led them this year, and he is a guy that's gotten a lot of interest from other teams. So if they do get Kyrie, see Russell walking, obviously, to another team. But if not, if they strike out with Kyrie, D'Angelo Russell will be coming back, in my opinion. And I think it's boom or bust with them. They either get the big guys they want, or they don't, and they keep kind of what they have, their core, along with adding maybe some role players down the road, the second-tier level guys. So on to Charlotte. Charlotte is one of those bottom half of the East teams. They've been struggling financially. They're also struggling just to win ball games. Kemba Walker is their biggest free agent. He is unrestricted. Big talks to him moving other places. Some news with them with free agency. Marvin Williams opted in on his player option contract, so did Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. So that's at least some scoring coming back. However, if you want to see a guy that possibly can be signed by Charlotte, if Kemba does walk, a good benefit for them would be Tyus Jones from the Timberwolves. He can get him on a good contract, a small contract. They have some money to spend, about $5.8 million. Tyus is a guy that he's always been in kind of the background in Minnesota. This would give him a chance to kind of break out. Tony Parker retiring, Kemba leaving. That point guard position is wide open there in Charlotte. So moving on to the next team, we have the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls did very well in the draft. They got Kobe White, their point guard of the future. Some might say they also have Chris Dunn still there, so look for that to be an interesting fit. But their team is centered around a lot of young core guys right now. Lauri Markkanen's there. Zach LaVine is still there. Chris Dunn is still a great player. Don't mark me wrong there. Their big free agents are Robin Lopez, and they have Wayne Selden on a restricted free agent. I don't think they're going to do much with Wayne there, but a guy that they might go out and get is a veteran point guard in Patrick Beverley. There's been rumors that they both might be interested in each other. that would be a great fit there with Kobe White and Chris Dunn, giving them some experience. And, in case they make a run this year with them being young, you never know in the East, they could use a guy like Patrick in that rotation. So now on to Cleveland, the team that LeBron left in shambles, kind of. They don't have a lot of money to do anything, and they have a young core that they like. They went and got Darius Garland this year. They got Kevin Porter Jr., paid $5 million to get Kevin Porter Jr., and then they got some free agents. Nick Stauskas is there, Marquise Chris that they traded for. Those guys, I think that they can get back on reasonable deals. But if they do go out and try to get someone, look for Jake Layman. He's a restricted free agent with Portland. They could possibly do some kind of sign and trade with them, with Portland. But they're not going to do a lot. Cleveland's not going to do a lot this postseason. Now in the Dallas, who has a lot of money to spend, they have $47 million. However, they have Kristaps Porzingis, who is a free agent that they're going to try to sign back to the max. They're going to give him as much money as they can. But they also have other guys like Dwight Powell, who's a free agent, Trey Burke, J.J. Barea, Devin Harris. All three of their point guards they use this year, they're all free agents. So look for them to target a point guard. They probably will re-sign all those guys. All the guys have been there for a long time. And then in the draft, they got Isaiah Roby out of Nebraska, a great pick. They traded to get that pick. But a guy that I think they would go after is, if they lose Powell to free agency, look for them to go after Dwayne Dedmon or a guy like that with a mid-tier center that they can bring in, either start next to Porzingis or come off the bench and play well. So next is Denver, who, in my opinion, is the best young core out there. You got Jamal Murray, you got Nikola Jokic, who is by far the best center in the game right now. You can comment if you think AD's better, but I think Jokic is the best all-around center in the game, and they're building around him and that young core there in Denver. So they also went out and got Bol Bol in the draft. He fell. I'm not a huge Bol Bol fan, but in Denver, it makes sense. He's the backup or even the third-string option there. You can bring him off the bench, let him get some weight and muscle on him, which I think he's going to struggle with at first, being a toothpick at 7'2". But that's a great pickup for Denver. They have free agents like Trey Lyles, who's a restricted free agent. Paul Millsaps is on a team option. And you got Isaiah Thomas, who I think is out the door. He just doesn't really fit right there at this point. But he's a guy that could very much shock people where he ends up and how much he can play. But I think they go after a veteran point guard to put next to Jamal Murray in Rajon Rondo. Rondo, I think you can convince him to go on a minimum deal as a vet, play on a team that could easily compete in the Western Conference this year, with Golden State having some injuries, with Houston not really knowing what they're doing. I think Denver is the favorite in the West here, and that's a hot take here on Bushart Report. But I think Denver is the favorite. So I think they're going to stay packed for the most part, maybe make some small vet moves. They're not going to do a lot. Detroit is the next team. They have some free agents in Zaza Pachulia, Wayne Ellington, Jose Calderon, Ish Smith. So a lot of their veteran guys are unrestricted free agents. I don't see them making a lot of moves to sign those guys back. I think Ish Smith is probably the priority free agent to sign back there. But a guy that you might look at for them to go after is Rodney Hood. They will have their mid-level exception, and they could give all of that to Hood. Hood's that good, and he showed that this past year with Portland. And he would be a great addition to that team. As you see, their team is made up, and he would slide right into that starting small forward role, kind of knock Tony Snell, who they got in a trade, back to the bench. But they've also gone out and got some good rookies. They got Seakou Doumbia. I think I said that right. Cool. The guy from France with the 15th overall pick in the draft. He's going to be a stud. I think he is one of the diamonds in the roughs in this draft. I think he fell further than I thought he was going to go. I had him in the top 10 in my mock. But he'll play well. Now on to the team that is going through an interesting offseason, and that's the Golden State Warriors. So they go from NBA Finals runner-up to having their two of their top three players injured, two of their top three players free agents, and Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson both injured. The reports are out that Klay is more than likely going to resign with Golden State. KD, no one really knows what he's doing or where he's going, but they're interesting. So they also have a ton of other free agents: Andrew Bogut, DeMarcus Cousins, Jonas Jerebko, Kevon Looney, Jordan Bell, Quinn Cook. I think Jordan Bell and Quinn Cook are definitely back. Kevon Looney is the turning point of that team, in my opinion. You saw how valuable he was in the finals. He played very well. I think if you can re-sign him, I think they have a good chance at least competing next year. I mean, they can go out and add some guys. So the free agent that I think would be so fun to be on Golden State is Jamal Crawford. You know, he is unrestricted free agent with the Suns. That would be a fun guy to bring off your bench. If you could put Quinn Cook with Jamal Crawford in a backcourt off your bench, and then find a way to get Iguodala off the bench, which I think you can do. That would be a very, very fun team for me. They went out and got Jordan Poole in the draft, along with Eric Pascal, which I think they got a great pick there in the second round. But Golden State's interesting because they may or may not be contenders next year. They might be in the running for the 7th, 8th, or 9th spot in the West. Slip in. Clay comes back off injury if he re-signs in the later part of the season, and they can make a run as a 7 or 8 team. Like, that's crazy to think about, but it's very possible. So the next team is kind of the same boat with Golden State. They're kind of in turmoil right now. Reports about Chris Paul and James Harden having problems with Houston. I don't think that's true. I think that was kind of bogus, made up. But still, they're going after Jimmy Butler, which doesn't make sense to me. We talked about it a little bit on the podcast or the live show on Thursday. I don't think that makes sense to go after Jimmy Butler, especially if you're mortgaging Clint Capella, Eric Gordon. It doesn't make sense. However, you got free agents like Kenneth Faried, Austin Rivers, Iman Shumpert. I think they let some of those guys walk. I don't think they have the money to spend it, especially if they're going after Jimmy Butler. They're going to have to get a bunch of vet guys, kind of like the Lakers are doing. However, a guy that I think would be fun to bring back is Trevor Ariza. He is still able to play. You can still plug him right back in. He's played with those guys before. I think that'd be a great addition for them at that small forward position. He can shoot. He can play some defense. I think he'd be fun back in Houston. Indiana has gotten some interesting news with Tyreek Evans being banned from playing this next year. So they're trying to find some scoring. They also got Bojan Bogdanovic, I hope I said that right, as a free agent. Darren Collinson reported today by Mark Stein that he is retiring. He's not playing anymore. Corey Joseph, Wesley Matthews, Thad Young, all guys that are heavy in their rotation with free agency. I think they go after and try to get Malcolm Brogdon. I think they want to pair another point guard with Victor Oladipo that can play. They missed out on Mike Conley. Ricky Rubio is also rumored about talking with Indiana. I think they go after Brogdon first. They try to get him from Milwaukee, give him more money than he probably needs. But they have $32.5 million to spend, so why not go after the guy that you want? So the next team is the Clippers. Clippers have $58.9 million. They have some free agents. They have Patrick Beverley, Wilson Chandler, JaMychal Green, Garrett Temple, Zubac. I can't say it. Zubac, the center that they traded for the Lakers. I think they try to keep him. He's on a restricted free agent. A guy that I think they could go after if they miss out on the big-time recruits, or the big-time free agents, is Terrence Ross. I think Terrence Ross fits there with Gallinari and Montrezl Harrell and the guys you're seeing on the screen right now. I think he fits in that rotation with them, and he could play very well sliding into that small forward position, making Gallo kind of a stretch four. So the next team is the Lakers, who currently have 3 players on their roster: Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Kyle Kuzma. As you can see on the screen, there's a bunch of question marks. They drafted Talon Horton-Tucker in the second round. They have a huge list of free agents, but 2 guys I think that they can get on vet minimums are 2 players that are currently on the Grizzlies roster. Kyle Korver, Avery Bradley, I believe they're going to be cut from the Grizzlies, and I think that is a great destination for them with LA. LA is going to make a lot of moves with vets, minimums, so just be on the lookout for that. Next team is Memphis. As I just said, they have some guys that they might move around. They have a couple of free agents. CJ Miles is restricted. He opted in. Jonas Valanciunas opted out. There's rumors that he may be resigned by the Grizzlies. But the guy that I want to see them go after is Tomas Satoransky. I can't say his name. I apologize, Tomas. He's a great combo guard that I think would pair well with Ja Morant. He's a shooter and a scorer, and that's what the Grizzlies have always struggled with from the 2-guard position, not having a shooter. And it's worked out because you had Tony Allen's defense, you had Mike Conley's shooting ability, so it kind of evened out. But look for the Grizzlies to make a splash in the trade market with their $29 million trade exception from the Mike Conley trade, and then making smaller additions with the few roster spots that they have. Next is Miami. Miami has no money. They are very much in debt, especially with Hassan Whiteside picking up his option. Also, Gordon Dragic picked up his option. A guy that they can get on the cheap is Jeff Green. Jeff Green has always struggled in his career, but he's had moments where he could play well. putting Jeff off that bench, giving you a little bit of scoring, I think will help Miami moving forward. They also got Tyler Hero and KZ Opala in the draft. Both guys that are young, can score, and can help them immediately, honestly. So, now into Milwaukee, the team that should have been in the finals. You know, they probably thought they were going to be in the finals. Blew a 2-0 lead. They have some guys that they have to try to get back. Malcolm Brogdon, Chris Middleton, even guys like Nikola Mirotic. A guy I think they should go after if they re-sign Brook Lopez, which is another one of their free agents, is go after his brother too. Get Robin in there. Get both the Lopez brothers back in town together, and let's go back and just have fun with the two cavemen-looking guys. Let's just do it, the Bucks. Just do it. Just sign both of them. Let Robin come off the bench. Let Brook start, and it would be literally two cavemen just having fun. That hot take. Do it. Come on, Bucks. All right. Pelicans. Pelicans have made the most moves out of anyone this offseason, adding Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Zion Williamson, number 1 pick in the draft, Jackson Hayes, which I think could be a huge steal in the draft. I love Jackson Hayes. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and they have some free agents. They got Jaleel Okafor they opted back into his team option. And they got some guys, role players. Julius Randle opted out of his player option. A guy I think they could go after that kind of replaces that Julius Randle position is Jabari Parker. Jabari's not the same position, but he can have that same scoring output for you. He would be a huge role. I think he would honestly be in contention to start. I think they're going to have to figure out how they handle Brandon Ingram playing with Zion. I don't know. I think they're going to have to figure that rotation out. But you could see Jabari Parker starting. I think Zion, I've heard other analysts have talked about how he could end up playing the center position. So if Zion's at your center, it would make sense to have another combo forward that can play both small and power forward, and Jabari can do that. So next we have the New York Knicks, who people think are going to strike out. No one thinks they're going to have any free agents, and I have a solution, Knicks fans. If you're out there, listen to me right now. Here are the 3 free agents you need to go get. 1, go get DeMarcus Cousins on a 1-year, $7-8 million deal. He's still a good player. Yes, he was recovering from injury last year. Yes, he didn't play a lot with Golden State. He is still a great player. He still has promise. 2, get Julius Randle. Pay $12, $13, $14 million, whatever you need to pay to get Julius Randle. That guy is a young star. Put him next to DeMarcus Cousins. They would be a great duo right now. And lastly, get your point guard. Go get Terry Rozier. Pay him more than Boston's willing to pay him for the restricted free agent. I promise you, they're not going to re-sign him if they go get Kemba. The money won't work out. So please, New York, you can pair Terry Rozier, DeMarcus Cousins, Julius Randle with R.J. Barrett and Kevin Knox, and you have a killer young starting lineup. Yes, Rozier's a little older. Yes, DeMarcus Cousins is a little older. It doesn't matter. They can win ball games. The East, people give me flack about this. I call it weak all the time. The Knicks with that starting lineup can be a top 8 team in the East. I promise you. Knicks, come hire me as your general manager. I promise you that's a great starting lineup. Now your bench, I can't help you there. Find some guys to play on the bench. But next team, OKC. OKC is even further in debt than some of the teams we talked about there. Negative $41.8 million. They're talking about shedding cap by trading Steven Adams, some other guys in that lineup. A guy that I think they can go after is Wesley Matthews. That 2-guard spot, as you can see on your screen, is kind of weak for them right now. Adding Wesley Matthews with Paul George, Russell Westbrook, Steven Adams in that lineup, I think that could be a great fit for them. In Orlando, they have some big free agents, Nikola Vukovic, Terrence Ross. I think they're going to go after them as hard as they can. I don't know if it will make much difference in the long run, but a guy they might get cheap that could help them grow their young core is Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers is a younger vet. He's still got a good game. He's a combo guard that can play, can guard really 1 through 3. He's tall enough to do that. He can help Markelle Fultz kind of learn some of the ins and outs of the game. I think Fultz struggled in Philly, less of the fact that he's a bad player. I mean, he got injured, but he also didn't really have a veteran point guard helping him, in my opinion. Ben Simmons is the primary ball handler there, so that's what they're going with. But Austin Rivers would be a great fit, in my opinion, there. On to Philly, we just talked about them. They have a ton of free agents. They don't have very many guys signed right now. That's why they have $58.9 million. I don't think they're going to spend it on one dude. They're going to try to get Jimmy Butler back. They're going to try to get Tobias Harris back. A guy they could add is Danny Green off that NBA champion Raptor team. I think Green would fit well, especially if they lose J.J. Redick. Green slides right in, fits well with that system. Phoenix is the next team. They did some very interesting things in the offseason so far. They added Cameron Johnson, Ty Jerome in the draft. They got Dario Saric from the Timberwolves in a trade in the draft, which I think he'll be their day one starter power forward. They have some other guys that are free agents that have been role players for them. The biggest one that they might lose is Rashawn Holmes. He's a great fit. He's an athletic four. A guy I think they should go get. They have young point guards. They have Ty Jerome. They have Debbie. I think they should go get Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose would be fun in that system, up and down running. He has revitalized his career with Minnesota. He's ready for another challenge. He can be a veteran presence with them and with the Suns. I think he'd be great. I love Derrick Rose, and I love the fact that he's back playing Derrick Rose basketball. So Portland. Portland comes in. They don't have many free agents, but they do have some big ones. They have Rodney Hood. They have Seth Curry. They have Al-Farouq Aminu. And they have Jake Layman as a restricted free agent. They've already sent out a qualifying offer for him. I think they try to go out and get some of those guys back. Seth Curry, I think, will be back. I think Al-Farouq will be back. A guy they could add if those guys leave, especially if Seth leaves, is Troy Daniels. Troy Daniels can shoot the basketball. Now, he's small. He's not great on defense, but he can shoot. I watched him in Memphis just put up three after three after three, and then he did it with the Suns, and now he's a free agent, and that could be an easy addition to their bench, especially a guy that he does well in that role. He knows his role. So Sacramento's the next team. They're going to offer a ton of money to Harrison Barnes and try to get him back. A guy that I think they're going to lose is Willie Cauley-Stein. I think he's done with Sacramento. I think he wants out. And so if he leaves, you also have Kosta Koufos as a free agent center. Look for them to go big. I think Nikola Vukovic could fit in there with Sacramento, what they're trying to do now. Start him, bring Bagley off the bench, or put Bagley and him in the starting lineup and bring Harry Giles off the bench. All those guys could play well together, but I don't know if Sacramento wants to move forward with a veteran center when they have that young core they have there. San Antonio is the next team. They don't have a lot of money. Their biggest free agent is Rudy Gay. Look for them to re-sign Rudy Gay to a $10 to $12 million contract for a couple years. A guy that I think they can go out after, is Cheick Diallo. I think I said that right. He's been playing for the Pelicans for the past couple years. He's a 22-year-old power forward center. I think he would be a great fit in Popovich's system. I think he's a hard worker. He hasn't gotten a lot of playing time because he's been behind some guys in the Pelicans rotation. But you give that guy 2 years under Pop, I think he can end up being a great center. Maybe not an all-star, but a great center in that system. So we're wrapping up here shortly. Let's look at the Toronto Raptors, who are the reigning NBA champions. Obviously, they're going to try to get Kawhi back. That's their number one focus. However, they have guys like Danny Green, Jeremy Lin, Jody Meeks, all free agents. They got Marc Gasol back. He accepted his player option. A guy that I think they can go after if they miss out on Kawhi is Bojan Bogdanovic from Indiana. We talked about him a little earlier. He has become a very good player with the Pacers, and I think he would fit in that system up there in Toronto. Toronto is a team that has, obviously Kawhi is the star in that team, but they have great role players who are actually all-stars. I mean, Marc Gasol is an all-star, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam will be soon, I promise you that. So I think he would fit well with them. Utah, they made the big Mike Conley trade away a lot of their pieces, so they're going to try to add smaller contract pieces to their team. Wilson Chandler might be a guy that would take a pay cut to be on a championship caliber team. I think the Jazz are close to being contenders in the West. They are very, very close. Mike Conley is no scrub. Donovan Mitchell is no scrub. Rudy Gobert is no scrub. You have Derek Favors. You have Joe Ingles. You add a guy like Wilson Chandler off your bench. You are a contender. You're a top 4 team in the West. Hot take. Denver, Utah. Look out for them this year in the West. They are coming fast. I promise. All right, 2 last teams. Washington. Washington has some money. They have some problems. They have John Wall hurt. not a huge contract, terrible contract, worst contract in the NBA. Even though Wall's a good player, they have tons of free agents. They have Bobby Portis. They have Tomas Satoransky, Thomas Bryant, who had a huge year this year. Trevor Ariza, Jeff Green. A guy they can go after, to replace kind of the John Wall hole is Corey Joseph. Corey Joseph's had solid years across the board. He's been with Indiana the past 2 years. So I think they could add him to, replace that point guard position. And last but not least, we have Minnesota, who Minnesota doesn't have a lot of money. They have a lot of free agents, but a lot of the free agents are smaller contract guys. Jared Bayless, Luol Deng, Taj Gibson, Derrick Rose, Anthony Tolliver. Then you had Tyus Jones on a restricted free agent contract. A guy they can go after is Kim Birch, who's very cheap, but give them a guy that could be good in the future. He's a 6'9" power forward center combo. Been playing with Orlando. He's young. He's still in his early 20s. That gives them a guy that can bring off the bench, who can be a high-energy guy that can give them kind of what Taj Gibson has given them the past few years, even though he's a little older, that high-energy caliber. And that wraps up the 30 teams. I know we flew by this. We went really fast. But tune in here with the Bushart Report. We'll be doing a show every week talking about different aspects of sports, from NFL to MLB to NBA to college sports. We'll have different people on as guests. But overall, most important, go to Overtime Heroics on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe, follow, like, share, comment. We want to hear from you. What did I say that you think is wrong? Who's going to be signing where? Comment. Let us know. I'd love to hear from you. My Twitter handle is NickBushart1. Go follow me. Love the content. Thanks, guys.